Okay, first off, thank you so much for this opportunity. Like, I'll do other videos of students being able to utilize the robot that you've donated and show that they're, really getting something out of it. So wholeheartedly thank you. First thing, we need to clear out the alarm. All right, so let me get this to throw an alarm real quick. So since I can't move where I'm at right now, that threw out an alarm. An alarm we have to acknowledge. So to the side, you'll have a reset. So go ahead and reset those. If you want to take a screenshot, like I saw 4 alarms, and if you wanted to go through the alarms, you could hit page and go through the alarms, and you could take a picture of those if there's some other strange ones, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be an encoder for both of these arms and then the encoder for this base. Okay, so if that's the case, go ahead and reset through them, and you should be good. All right, so once you reset those, a few things about the pendant so that we can actually utilize it. You want to make sure that your e-stop is out. So if it's in, you have to twist it clockwise. You want to make sure that your key is in the play position, or teach position. I'm sorry. All right, and then your enable switch, your dead man switch. The way that you squeeze those is if you squeeze it too hard, it thinks that you're having a heart attack, so it's going to trip out. If you squeeze one side of it too much or the other, it thinks that it's sitting on a table. So there's a little seesaw there, and there's a certain amount of pressure that engages that. But too much pressure will kill it again. Okay, so what you'll want to do, make sure that you stop. You're in teach, and then you're going to push the servo on button, and that's going to make the servo on light start flashing, and that says that the servos are on, the brakes are released, but it's not able to move it's not actually going to release the brakes until you pull this in. When you pull it in far enough, you'll hear the brakes release, and this green light will illuminate solid, and that means that you can move it. Okay, so now I don't have an SDA10 here, and I believe that this might actually be a better way of showing what you'll be doing with the robot. Okay, so now you've got a screen. It doesn't really matter what's on here, but what we will want to do is we'll want to go to System Info, so click on System Info. We'll have to push select to get away from there. So I push System Info, and then I go to Security. All right, you might be on Edit or Operate, but you're going to want to be in Management mode. So go down to Management, hit Select. It's going to ask for a password. You're going to put in all 9s. All right, until it won't go anymore. Then push Enter. And then now it should give us more options over here. We're going to go to Robot. Now there's a work home position and a second home position. We don't want either one of those. We want home position. Okay? We'll go to home position. And more than likely, if the battery backup is dead, these will be cleared out. Okay. Now, when they calibrate it from the factory, they will print out the offset values for the absolute encoders in there, and this should be printed somewhere on the controllers. Okay. Hopefully they'll have it as R1 and R2. But if they don't, then they'll probably have it as separate stickers on the two different controllers. Mine's on the top, could be on the side, but you don't have your absolute encoder data. And we're gonna guess that these are gonna be correct. If it was mine and I had to recalibrate it or put a new encoder in, I would replace this. So, good practice. They did if they did replace the encoder. Okay. So take a picture of those. All right. And then you're going to go into that robot home position, not work or second home position, but home position. And then you're going to scroll over and you're going to put that data in. Okay. So scroll over, push select, put that data in. So let's say it was 859. Hit select again or hit enter. And that will allow us to put in the data. Paying close attention to if there's a negative value in there. So if there's a negative value, we'll hit select. Right here, we have a hyphen, which is our negative. So you'll put in that data. So for robot 1, because it's technically 2 robots in that external axis. So I think on mine, this is R1 and R2, but it could be different. You'll want to make sure that you do the correct one to the correct one. All right. It won't completely matter because we're not going to go into Cartesian coordinates, and it won't have to do all that trigonometry because we'll just be driving it by joints. But just to be safe, we do want to put this data in that is printed on there. If not, then we can probably still drive it with garbage data in there because we're only going to be driving, and that encoder value only really matters if we're having to do some kind of arithmetic to it. And we're not watching it to hit a limit or something. Okay, so once we get those in, you will want to page over. So after you get robot 1's position data in, you'll scroll to robot 2. You'll put its data in, and we probably don't need the waste, the external axis, but if we do, then put that one in. All right, once you've got all that data in, this is where we will want to push a servo on. Make sure that the key is in the teach position, and then make sure that our dead man switch is actually activated correct. So we should have a green light if that's the case. We'll go in, and just to be on the safe side, go into robot and then either work home position or second home. And this will show you where it thinks it is. But it's a pretty good place to start seeing what data is being moved. Okay. Now up top, you'll see 2 things that we're concerned about, or 3. This first across the top, I'm going to move my mouse, is going to tell us what robot or axis that we're on. So we're messing with the first robot. The second one is going to tell us the coordinate system. If it looks like a robot, then it's in joint coordinates. If it's not in joint coordinates, we're going to need to press this coordinate button right here a couple of times to get it into there, because we're not going to be able to do that trig and stuff. So we want it in joint. We're going to drive each joint separately as opposed to doing any inverse kinematics to it. So scroll around until you get this up here looking like mine. All right. And then I would probably put it in medium so that you'll actually see something. We've got 4 speeds. We've got inching, which is in, micro steps. And then we've got slow, which is pretty slow. We've got medium, which is slow. And then we've got high speed, which is super fast. There's a big gap on most of these robots. The problem is if you're in inching and you don't think it's moving, you speed it up too much and then you move way too far. So we'll keep it in medium for the physical robot to be able to see what's going on here. I'm going to put it in high. All right. So if my green light's on, then I should be able to move it. Okay. Now, when we're in joint coordinates, then our 12 buttons over here are going to represent a positive and a negative of each joint. Okay. And that's just per robot, and then we'll change robots when we need to. Okay. So up here, I'm on my first robot. I'll test out what joints are going. I'm not going to move them to the extremes because, we've got suspect encoder data. But I will start moving it into a position. So I could play around with each joint until I find the joint that I actually need. And then I'll rotate it into a more applicable position. Okay. So this will just be inching things by joints. And it's pretty logical about what the joints are. Last joint is probably going to be the tool joint, so rotate the tool around, and I don't have that on here. But using these, I can just kind of feather it in. Now, once I get one arm where I want it, and I want it as perpendicular to the ground as I can, I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to push Shift, Robot. And when I do that, it's going to shift over and change the robot that I'm using. Now, mine did change my coordinates to a Cartesian coordinate system, which I do not want. So I'm going to double check that, and I'm going to move it back to the joint coordinates. All right. And I believe I need to push enter right there. I don't have the robot in front of me, so just playing it safe will do that. So the arms the arms from the picture that I've seen are not completely, out of the realm of just kind of inching things around. Okay, so we'll just want to. This one was a lot easier to get perpendicular because it was already parallel to the ground. But if it was, kind of kinked over. Be aware of hitting yourself too. Okay. Like I don't have collision detected on here, but, that should get you there. If there's anything, else, other things that are concerning, if you send me a picture, I'll make a new video and I'll try to keep it shorter. This just had a whole lot of, getting things ready to go. So it's not necessarily, as concise as I would have wanted it, but I appreciate you, sticking through it. I so appreciate it. Thank you so much. This is huge for us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please let me know if there's anything else. You should be able to, once you get it down, I'll deal with the battery issue whenever it gets here because it'll need to be replaced, but I don't think we'll need to replace it for this. And support didn't either. So I appreciate it. Bye-bye.